So, this past weekend, I spent a couple of hours watching the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans race. And I will admit, when I first turned it on Saturday, I was less than impressed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I knew that sim racing is a big deal. And I knew that the graphical presentation of the virtual cars themselves was pretty good. I mean, I own a PlayStation 3, and I know technology has advanced a whole lot since even that machine was state of the art. And Gran Turismo 5 is pretty good. So I knew that the visual presentation was going to be pretty tight, but the situation of not knowing all the names and the teams and some other things that were missing, like the frenetic pace of the pit stops and the pit lane interviews with the team principals and some of those things. That said, when I got up Sunday morning to watch the conclusion and catch some of the highlights and the interviews with Le Mans stars of the past and I thought the night portion, the highlights of the night portion of the race were actually really good. I gotta admit, it was a pretty decent television product. Now, that's not to say I would ever think that sim racing could replace the real thing. Personally, my taste with it is, and full disclosure, I've got a little Logitech rig on a TV stand, on a TV tray, sitting in my regular chair and watching Gran Turismo 5 on a 42-inch flat screen TV. That's not a true sim type rig, but for my purposes, I need the sensation, that sort of seat of the pants feel, the sensation that I generate from my inner ear about motion and vertical accelerations and lateral accelerations. For me, that's all part of the process in driving. But from a spectator point of view, yeah, I could probably watch an hour sim race, some sort of sprint race, particularly if it was, say, of a vintage variety and the cars were throwbacks to another era. These modern Le Mans cars, particularly the LMPs, don't really do it for me. I'm more of a Group C kind of guy. But again, the product was generally compelling. ESPN2 did a good job of presenting the material, having actual live commentators, throwing to interviews with people, showing the Zoom screens. I think they did about everything they could do, all things considered, especially when you consider that sports car racing is not an enormous thing in America, and the viewership of the traditional 24 hours of Le Mans is sketchy at best. I thought it was a really good product presented, and I hope they will do this again in the future as sort of a special attraction, but maybe not the full 24 hours. Maybe, like I said, maybe a 1 hour sprint race, or as part of a package with, highlight reels of real racing. Or I think there's some ways that they can incorporate this into the existing programming and, give the sim racers, give the esports guys some love in that regard, while still supporting real life racing, because I'm a fan of the real thing. There's other stuff that goes with it: the smell of the gasoline, if you're there at the track live, the sound of the cars, and the fact that each car sounds a little bit different, and depending on where the cameras are and the angles, you get the Doppler effect. There's just a lot of sensory input that goes into the real thing that you sort of lose with the simulated product. And I know that can get better with programming and better computer power, but excuse me. I just wanted to say that they've kind of made a believer out of me. At first, I was a little bit skeptical of the product as it was presented, but the more I watched, the more I got into it and said, yeah, this works. This is actually, it's not as good as the real thing, but it's the best possible substitute. Certainly better than replaying an old race. Pardon my dehumidifier cranking on over there. I'm actually recording this from a friend's basement where I was staying for the weekend. But that's really all I want to say. And to those of you who are e-racers and sim racers, shout out to you, because I know it's not just, you know, dudes sitting in their mom's basement in front of a computer. Shout out to ESPN for putting a really good product on the screen in a difficult situation where we weren't going to be able to have the real race this weekend. Thank you for watching Cocktails and Crankshafts. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon, and we'll see you soon with new content.